Hey guys, it's Chris from DSX Machina. So I was doing a stream today, and OBS was acting up throughout the whole broadcast, and then it just completely crashed. And it was actually NVIDIA that just shit itself. It just NVIDIA just decided to have a conniption fit, and then it ended the stream, unfortunately. And then I had to basically quit OBS and restart it to get everything back. So I am going to do this as a video and post it. I didn't have a lot of people watching anyway, so it's not really a big deal. Anyway, I'm going to go over what I was talking about before and go over a quick summary, and then we're going to continue where I left off, and then we'll post it. If you want to see what I was talking about before, just watch that stream. It's about 30 minutes long before it failed. But quickly to go over it, I'm going to go over it very, very quickly and before we resume. The first thing I said is that we have something called, in our species selection, something called hereditary and trained abilities. Hereditary abilities are ability score bonuses you get for species selection. Trained abilities are ability score bonuses you get for your background. So I cover both bases, so I don't need to remove or modify. Now in D&D with the 2024 edition, when you pick your background, you get a +3 bonus that you can distribute among 3 abilities. You can go 1-1-1 or you can go 2-1. You can't go +3, but you can go 2-1 or 1-1-1. And that gives you more freedom, but I think I give a lot of freedom by allowing you to pick your benefit via your species selection or your background selection. So I give quite a bit of freedom. So I don't think I've decided that I won't be redoing the hereditary or trained ability score bonuses to conform with 2024. It still gives you the exact same mechanical benefits. You still get effectively the same amount of freedom, if not more, actually. And I always say, when default, give players more freedom than less. Uh, did say that when we get into the feats, specifically the species feats, and not the general feats that I have in the next chapter. I don't know why I didn't put, in retrospect, I didn't put all these feats into one section, but whatever, that's me being dumb. That we're going to add a quick little erratus in here. All species feats that all species feats that do not include ability score bonuses now offer a +1 to any ability score up to a max of 20. So basically, these are going to offer, because here none of these have any ability score benefits. So we're just going to include a +1 to a max of 20 for all of these, and that's pretty much done. I just mentioned background. They once again gives you 3. Now, the only thing we have here that's different is going to be the next chapter, which is ladders. Ladders are a specific mechanic to Ultramodern 5 that gives you a bunch of linked feats that give you ability score bonuses, give you a bit of extra benefit, but they're all kind of themed. It was just something I did that was meant to honor the original D20 Modern back in the old 2000s. With this one, some people made comments the fact that because you get an ability at the first level, not much of an ability, but an ability nonetheless, you were marginally more powerful than a fantasy character. But in D&D 2024, you get a feat at first level as part of your background. So I put in this little rule here. It is no longer unbalancing to mix ladders and non-ladder characters. If employing 2024 fantasy classes and mixing them together with UM5 classes, and if the fantasy classes selects a ladder, they do not gain the benefit of their feat. So basically, I may reword that to make it make more sense. But if you have a Tekken character or UM5 character that uses ladders, and you want to join a group of 2024 D&D fantasy characters using rules specifically out of the book, it's not imbalancing. That being said, if you're a UM5 character and you want to employ the backgrounds from the 2024 book, then you do not get the feat associated with your background. Likewise, if you're creating a D&D 2024 fantasy character and you want to use ladders, you don't get the feat from the background. So that's the only modification in here to make that work. And nothing else really needs to worry about it. When we get into classes, I'm going to jump into another class here, specifically the Grounder. The only thing that really changes, obviously they present their classes a little differently. This is the way 5e did it. 5.5 creates a different format where they list all this under a table. And and then they also say like level 3 archetype, level 4 ability score improvement, and so forth. And that's, once again, that's a presentation issue. That is not really that's not changing the mechanics of the game. However, what they do have is something called right here, level 19. They've replaced the level 19 ability score bonuses with something called the Epic Boon. So I basically stated that instead of the ability score bonuses, all UN5 classes replace this entry with the Epic Boon ability. I better say at 19th level. All UN5 classes replace this entry with Epic Boon. Limitations of which of these are available, or limit of which of these are available are the limitations are dependent on the specific setting being run by the GM. They have veto power over your selection. This basically states that you can't just pick a completely magical epic boon if you're in a modern setting. Now, looking over those epic boons, they all, except for the magic ones, like 2 or 3 magic ones, they all basically work with the Tekken ones. I don't feel the need looking through these to okay, we're definitely going to need to add in an epic boon specifically for the Tekkens, because it makes me feel that now they're compelled to always pick the Tekken one. Like Gunslinger, Heavy, Martial, I can't think of a single class. It makes me wonder whether or not, because the Medic uses a Vancian style magic system, now that I'm looking at it, it might be interesting to see whether or not I can reword. Let's see here. Let's look at the epic boons at the back here. So the epic boon of magic says, whenever you cast a spell with a level 1 to 4 spell slot, roll 1 to 4. If the number you roll is the same as the spell slot, the slot isn't expended. The boon of spell recall can apply to the medic. I think that should work. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so we can, I think, yeah, I don't think that's game breaking. I think the boon of spell recall can apply to the medic. Swap out spells for medical exploits. Yeah, I think that actually works. So we don't have to worry about that. This comes down to the big one, and unfortunately this is where I was kind of hoping to get people's feedback, but I didn't have a lot of people watching my feed anyway, so no one was commenting. And that gets to specifically weapons. We're going to skip through these because obviously we talked about everything, and of course we have our archetypes, which are universal, and we get 2 weapons, and this has been the big question. None of my weapons have obviously weapon mastery. The question now, of course, is, do we give weapon mastery to our classes? It seems pretty obvious that I would have to. Let's go back into our classes here. Civilian won't get them. Face won't get any. Grounder's going to get the same. Should get the same. The only issue, of course, is that there's only masteries for weapons. So we have to look at firearm masteries. Now, when we look at their weapons, specifically their martial range weapons, it basically variations on 3: Vex, Push, and Slow. We look at the simple range weapons. Vex, Slow is also there. They think, because they basically created, so it's not they have many weapons, but they have a limited number. I was thinking originally of taking all the unique effects of higher tech levels and have them be weapon masteries, but then I realized that's not going to work. So we have a couple things to look at. The first, is whether or not we give, if we decide that we are going to create weapon masteries, then we have to go back and give them to these classes, which will unfortunately make them marginally more powerful because we didn't give them that before. But once again, fantasy classes are a bit more powerful. We have the artillery talents. You get 4 of them. I mean, I can see dropping it to 3 and giving them a weapon talent. I really don't want to have to tweak them all, because that's assuming, like, I'd have to remove maybe a brotherhood to give them the weapon mastery. I would have to go in. So, like, the grounder, I don't want to remove. It would have to be one of the Brotherhoods to remove and swap it out with the Weapon Mastery ability. And then you just get the one when you get the second level. With Gunslinger, I would have to... Whew, that's tough. Converging Fire, cinematic style. No, I can see then maybe moving Converging Fire to second level and then doing that. That would work. Heavy, obviously reducing the artillery talents to 3. That would be the only thing for there. Infiltrator is an assassin. I would probably remove one of their solid skills and replace that with mastery. Marshal. I think Marshal might not have one. Or at the very least, I'll throw it in. Let's see. Once again, I could probably move for the good of the team down to second level. And then give them a weapon mastery at first. Martial artist, that's tough. I think obviously they have weapon mastery. That would be, I can't do combo chain, that's too powerful. Fighting form is too obvious. Martial exploit, yes, I would have to remove their martial exploit. Basically reduce all the martial exploits by 1. That would be annoying, but that would be the only way to do it. So you don't get your martial exploit at 0. And basically reducing all. So that's 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and 7. So that would reduce the total number of martial exploits. I don't think whether or not that's medic doesn't get any of those. Sniper. There's a couple things you can do. Obviously, he just gets battle condition, and that seems nice. That's tough. It's not a very easy solution there. Now, once again, all this is dependent on whether or not... There's a reason why I'm not writing this down. All this is dependent. The techie... Oof, I think techie won't. Sniper does have to. We'll get past the archetypes there. And then we get into weapons. Now, we've got 2 types of weapons. 4 types of weapons. We have one-handed small arms, two-handed small arms, heavy weapons, and super heavy weapons. Now, with them, like, we have Vex. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to the creature, you have advantage on your next attack roll against that creature before the end of your turn. And then we have Slow. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to it, you can reduce its speed by 10. If the creature is hit more than once, speed reduction doesn't continue. And then we have Push. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from your... I'm not entirely sure why the heavy crossbow does that. We'll get into the muckery about science. So we have a couple things. Now the problem is I can't just say all one-headed small arms gain Vex. I can't say, because once again, they're not, like, we have so many firearms, none of them are created equal. For example, the 10 gauge break pistol would have push. So the only issue here is that I would have to go under every single weapon and list which of those would apply, or whether or not they would have one or potentially create a new one. And so with this section here, like something like the baby pistol, like let's grab a couple examples. Look at the baby pistol, which is, once again, a very, very tiny weapon. And it would be closer to something like, we have to kind of create parallels. And the craziest one's going to be the dart. Does 1d4 piercing, and it has Vex. So, yeah, baby pistol would have Vex. Let's grab another one. Let's grab the electroshock gun, right? 450, does special lightning damage and so forth. That would make sense that it would have something that, once again, I think that would also be Vex, right? But when you look at something like the 10 or the 12 gauge weapon, that would be probably push. But we don't necessarily have to be limited to those three. We can go in, like, obviously we're not going to have, if you hit a creature with a melee attack using this weapon, if you, so obviously we're not giving any of these weapons cleave. We have gray. What weapons have grays? Oh, so the glaive. Not very many, actually. Grays? Wait a minute. How many times weapons have grays? 1, 2. That's it. Just 2. And yeah, they're the big weapons. I can see any weapon with an auto or like a heavy auto property, which is going to be in the two-handed smaller heavy weapons, having something like grays. Nick, when you make the extra attack of your light prop, okay, when you make the extra attack light property, you can make it as part of the attack action instead of the bonus action. You can make this attack extra once per turn. So we're looking at specifically really tiny finesse light weapons. Now with us, we don't really have a lot here. We obviously do have some finesse light weapons. So anything that's finesse and light, we could probably give them the Nick property. That seems pretty straightforward. So basically, I'm copying this over. I didn't realize this table was messed up. Damn, that's... Sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize that table was messed up. So yeah, I mean, it's going into each individual weapon. Now, there's a couple where I might say none, because the weapons themselves are kind of insane. So like, and I think I've been using these kind of low, but we pick up something like Demiurge, which is light plasma reload. I think when it comes to weapons that have big properties, like plasma already has, right? Armor piercing on a non-critical hit, roll the damage twice, take the higher result. They already have a lot of these things. So when it comes to weapons, like laser, for example, you get a +1 bonus to your attack roll. You know, there's a part of me that thinks when it comes to any of the really weird weapons that have interesting properties, laser, plasma, very specifically nuclear is going to be another one, that those don't have weapon masteries per se. I can play around with that and basically say, with the weapons that have that, nuclear, any of them that have that, because obviously these weapons don't have that, so they can have it. We can make a property, a weapon mastery that says inherent, maybe, or I can say unique. And that one basically means if you you have to have a weapon mastery in order to access any of these abilities. And that's basically, it means things that unique says you gain access to that weapon's level-based abilities. And so you would not get access to them otherwise. Somebody had mentioned about that. So yeah. So if we do that, and that means we would have to play around with these classes. So let me know whether or not you think that is fine. Like, once again, these are entirely optional. Like, we're not putting this into the main book. This is a 2024 update. I don't think we need to do with the... Obviously, we have martial weapons, so we have to give these weapons these things as well. That's fine. Demolitions... No, I'm not. Like, they don't have grenades in here anyway. So I don't know whether or not they would ever apply. I can do it. Oh, bugger. But then grenades would have to have something like a precision, which I can't spell. And the precision obviously has to be based off of the throw. And with the rules, we have, you basically have a direct attack. Basically, it's going to be a modification of the saving throw, maybe. You know, increase saving throws by 2? 2? 2? Sorry, it's a very bizarre reference. And then we have armor. Now, armor they didn't mess with. Armor doesn't change, so I don't have to play around with armor, so we can ignore that. And we've talked about tools, so we don't have to worry about tools. We didn't only added vehicles and mecha anyway. Same thing with aircraft. That's the big one. We're not going to touch. There's a few other things that I don't know whether or not. I'm gonna go. Do I have anything that's specifically relating to hide? I don't, because they mucked around with the hide mechanic a little bit. So here, when you you can take the hide action as a bonus action. Additionally, if you end your movement in a location where you've some form of cover and concealment, you get a +2 bonus to your stealth check. I don't think that's really breaking. I know that, like I said, they've played around with people who don't know. The hide action has been specifically like it was pretty vague. They didn't really put a lot of detail into it, and now it's got a very specific thing where you have to be heavily obscured behind 3/4 cover or total cover. If you can see the creature, you can discern whether or not it can see you. On a successful check, you have the invisible condition, and that's the definition there. Okay, so hidden. So that doesn't change anything as well. I think that was it. I think the only time we have the hide action is with him. Yeah, so the blinder mail is good as well. I don't think I have to muck around with that. I think it comes down to, unfortunately, I think the biggest part of this errata is going to be repasting these weapons and then going to each one and then adding in for that. So yeah, but to do that, I would because there's a part of me that feels that I don't want to modify each class to give them their weapon mastery. That being said, it would be potentially unbalancing to give them yet another benefit without taking one away. I think I'm gonna have to say, like, ultimately, like, if you feel giving them weapon mastery and not taking something away is game breaking, then feel free. But this is what a 2024 class would probably be. I would add weapon mastery. I would take away something. I don't think I'm taking away too much. I think the sniper is the only one that's giving me pause. Because I don't know. Because it would have to be the battle condition. I'd have to do the same thing as before when you get -1 off of all your battle conditions. There you go. Like, that would have to be it. Yeah, okay. So this is going to require a bit of effort to write this. And I don't know whether or not I'm going to do it today. I might do it this weekend and have it posted just so people know that there's an expansion out there. And I can add saying, you know, Dungeons & Dragons 2024 update included and go on from there. I'm not going to be rebuilding this. It's going to be an errata. I feel the vast majority of the audience don't want a new book, even if I post it alongside, even if I go 2024 and just have a new update, because people will feel that it invalidates the 1.2 edition, and considering they're in print, I'm not going to do that. People can go online and download. I'm going to have it for free, so you don't have to purchase the 1.2. You can go to our website and there will be downloadable files there. And I'll have it available off of the Facebook, and we'll send it out as a push for people. And so this is actually probably going to go not as this file. It's probably going to go into InDesign because I'm going to be copying stuff, and it'll just be easier moving stuff from 1.2 over. So that's it, guys. I'm really, really open to your ideas. whether or not you like it, what I've proposed so far, and what you would change, because obviously I'm up to feedback. This is obviously a separate file, not going to be a rebuild, so we can constantly tweak this as we see fit. Please post in the comments, let me know what you think. Anyway, this has been Chris from Deus Ex Machina.